morning, everyone. It looks like some of you were interested in hearing the book Good Job Bear today. So we are going to read that. If you didn't already see the video I put up earlier this morning of the Early Head Start Book of the Month, Toes, Ears, and Nose, make sure you check that out too. I think the kids will enjoy all of learning about all the body parts. So, okay, but right now we're going to do Good Job Bear. This is a story by Carrie Weston and Tim Warnes. And it says on the front, little campers need a really big friend. I wonder who that big friend is going to be. Can you guess? The day that Miss Cluck was taking the class camping, everyone was very excited. When Miss Cluck said that it was almost time to set off, all the animals squealed with delight. Do you see all the animals in the room? Can you find the chicken? Do you see the chicken? That's Miss Cluck. I think that's their teacher. How about a rabbit? Do you see a rabbit in that classroom? And a fox? Do you see the big bear that's trying to hide in this picture? He's not hiding very well, is he? No. He thinks he's being sneaky. Letitia the rabbit carried her butterfly net. This is Letitia the rabbit, and she's taking a butterfly net camping. Maxwell the mole clutched his teddy. There's Maxwell the mole with his little teddy bear. The little mice each had a basket. Can you see the little itty bitty mice? And they're carrying little itty bitty baskets. Fergus the fox cub was given the map. Ooh, that's an important job to be in charge of the map. He's the navigator for them. And Boris was put in charge of... What do you think Boris is going to be in charge of? Absolutely everything else. For Boris was an enormous, hairy, scary grizzly bear, but he was also rather kind and helpful. "Bravo," said Miss Cluck as Boris heaved the huge bag on his back. "What would we do without you?" Look at that big old pack that Boris is carrying. What would they have done without him? Do you think the little animals could have carried that big bag? I don't think so. Miss Cluck and her class set off through the woods. Letitia chased after butterflies. It's a good thing she brought her net, huh? She's chasing some butterflies. Fergus puzzled over the map, trying to make sure he takes them in the right direction. Maxwell got Teddy stuck up in a tree, and the mice struggled with their baskets. Uh-oh. Teddy is stuck up here, and they can't reach him, and the mice, I don't know if you can see, they're starting to sweat. Those baskets are heavy for them. Eventually, Boris caught up with them all. Poor Miss Cluck blew her whistle. "This really won't do," she said. "We must stay together." "But we're tired," said the mice. Then Boris had an idea. You see Boris helping get Teddy down out of the tree. He found room for everything in his bag, even the tired mice. "Bravo, Boris," his friends cheered. Do you see he fit the mice in the front little pocket, but he's also carrying the net, and I think Teddy's in there. Before long, they came to a little bridge. Boris and Letitia dropped twigs into the stream. They dropped the twigs from the bridge down into the water. Then everyone rushed to the other side of the bridge to see whose twig would come out first. So they're racing the twigs. Whose twig is going to come out first? I don't know, but uh-oh, somehow Boris forgot about the bag on his back. And somehow Maxwell's teddy went splash into the water. Somehow the mice managed to hang on. Uh-oh, so Teddy fell in the water. Splash. Maxwell let out an enormous wail. "Oh, Boris," he cried. Poor Boris felt so clumsy and ashamed. Miss Cluck carefully leaned over the bridge with Letitia's butterfly net, but it was no good. Teddy was floating away. Uh-oh, what's Boris gonna do? Boris decided it was time to be very brave. He leapt into the water. Splash! He jumped right in, all the way up to his hairy knees. Boris scooped Teddy safely out of the water. Now there were 2 dripping wet bears, and Maxwell hugged them both. Look at that. He jumped in. The water wasn't so deep after all for him, huh? And he grabbed Teddy and saved him. Boris is the biggest, bravest, best bear, said Maxwell. Bravo, Boris, agreed Miss Cluck. Now let's set up camp before there are any more accidents. He's giving Boris a nice big hug. The animals gathered around while Miss Cluck explained how to build a teepee. It all sounded very easy. Letitia and Maxwell collected long sticks. The mice chewed off some lengths of rope. See them nibbling on the rope there? Boris helped Fergus spread out the canvas. They're all working together as a team. Then they all tried to put it together, but it was not easy. Not easy at all. Once the teepee was up, the fun really began. Miss Cluck got out a new box of chalks and let everyone draw on the teepee. It looked wonderful. Boris put Maxwell's Teddy up on top to dry. See how they decorated it? That looks pretty, huh? And can you find Teddy? He's up on top. Do you see him? And they made a little sign that says Camp Cluck. And off they went to pick berries for supper. Miss Cluck showed them which ones were good to eat. You see them picking the berries off the tree, off the bush? You always have to ask a grown-up, though, if they're safe to eat. Boris carried the full baskets while the other animals hurried excitedly back to camp. But they were in for a shock. Uh-oh. Boris has fallen behind because he's carrying the berries. But everyone else is going to have a surprise at camp. For their wonderful teepee wasn't quite so wonderful anymore. Someone had drawn on Miss Cluck's face. Someone had pulled down all the sticks. And someone was going to be in big trouble. Miss Cluck was very, very angry indeed. She marched straight up to the bulging canvas, reached underneath, and pulled out. Do you see all that mess somebody made? Everything is ruined. 2 very naughty little wolf cubs. The cubs wriggled and struggled. Do your parents know you're out in the woods alone? asked Miss Cluck in her firmest voice. Do you see? She pulled them right out from underneath. They were the ones that made the messy mess. We don't care, yelled one of the cubs rudely. Our daddy is a big, bad wolf. He's much bigger than you, said the other even more rudely. And he eats chickens for... They're not being very nice to Miss Cluck, are they? Supper, boomed Boris with a great big berry-stained grin. Look, Boris finally caught up, and he was munching on the berries. But the cubs said, Yikes, it's a grizzly bear! Help, it's a hungry bear! And Miss Cluck said, Whew, it's Boris Bear. So he was thinking about berries for supper, but those little wolf cubs thought he was going to eat them for supper. So the naughty little wolf cubs turned on their heels and fled. Boris was most confused. Oh, Boris, what a brave bear you are, smiled Miss Cluck. Now let's put the teepee back together. Bravo for hairy, scary Boris. Look at them, they're running away. That evening, Boris and his friends ate a supper of toasted marshmallows and berries until the sun went down. Then Miss Cluck got out her guitar and they sang songs under the stars. Boy, that looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Boris felt his eyelids grow heavy. It was tiring being a big, brave bear. I think I might go to bed now, he yawned. Boris snuggled down happily inside the teepee and was soon snoring. A little later, Fergus, then Letitia, Maxwell with Teddy, the mice, and Miss Cluck crept into the teepee. There wasn't much room, but nobody minded a bit. After all, everyone had a nice soft place to sleep. They all snuggling in with Boris. Even Miss Cluck. "Bravo, Boris," she whispered as she fell asleep. See her up there on Boris's belly. All right, that was a nice story. Thank you guys for picking that this week. That was a lot of fun to read. I like reading stories about friends and people who like to work together as a team. And I love reading about camping. It looks so fun. Do you guys like to camp? All right, well, that's all we have for today. So I will talk to you all later. Thanks.